Lamangan's Rainbow Sunset, Raymond Red's Anino, and Eddie Garcia's Sinasamba Kita. We have prepared a short tribute video for Eddie Garcia. Let's watch this. That was our simple tribute to our legend, Eddie Garcia. We are reminding everyone that the festival will run from June 24 to July 2 this year. With us this afternoon, I'll be introducing a few more guests that we could talk to. First, we have the director of Fangirl, the award-winning director, Direct Antoinette Jadaone. Direct.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. Hi, Sabrina. Hi, Max.
Hello.
Hello, Direct Antoinette. Full circle na, no? Last year, you were part of the Far East in Progress in Udine. And then now you are in the main competition. How does it feel? Miss Universe, no? Pero,
Miss Universe Fest. The Udine Far East Film Festival is one of my most favorite film festivals. It was the first film festival that showcased my first film, so it will always have a special place in my heart. So I was still very little then, and now that I made I think it's my 11th film, I'm happy that it's back in the festival that showed my first film ever.
Thank you, Directorate. Balikan kita mamaya. We'll just introduce a few more of our guests.
Okay.
We also have the director and the producer of the film A is for Agustin, Miss Grace Simbulan, and Dino Bautista.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. My producer, unfortunately, won't be able to attend. I think it's 12
US, no?
Yeah. 12 midnight in the US right now.
Hello, Miss Grace. Thank you for joining us today po. I believe na nag-premiere sa DMZ yung pelikula. And then now it's the film's time to be screened in Italy. And is it your first time also joining unlike Direct Net, no, na nakapag Far East Film Festival na sa Udine? Is it your first time joining the festival?
Yes, actually this is the first time, and it's also the European premiere of AS for Agustin. So sobrang laki niyang opportunity for the film to be shown to a European audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Grace. We have another director, a part rin ng retrospective for Eddie Garcia actually. Isa siya sa mga siguro naka-work ni Sir Eddie in the past 20 years. And then 21 years old na rin yung pelikulang ito ngayon. We have Direct Raymond Red for Anino. Direct.
There, hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hello, Direct. Good afternoon po.
Hi, good afternoon.
So 21st year of the grabe yung background. Nostalgic. So 21st year po of your film Anino, did you ever anticipate that it will be part of a tribute retrospective to the late Eddie Garcia?
When I made it, I was never really thinking of that, pero it was of course a very big honor that Eddie Garcia agreed to act in this, simple short film that I was doing. We did it in '99, in fact, 1999, and then showed it in Cannes in 2000. So I never thought about it being a part of a tribute. No, so of course it's sad that Manong Eddie has left us, and now it's become an honor and a privilege that this short film will be part of that tribute for him.
Sorry, I can't mute myself. Thank you, Direct. And now for the discussions, we will be joined again by the chairperson of FDCP, Chair Liza, the festival director, Sabrina, and then the programmer, Max. And we received for the first question from GMA, Sir Lars Santiago. How did the choice of the Eddie Garcia films made, knowing that he has made a lot of good movies? I think this goes to the festival, to Max and to Sabrina. And then for the members of the press and the media who has questions for our guests, for our directors who are with us this afternoon, you can use the raise hand button sa Zoom or you can chat us para matanong rin namin. Ayun.
Yes, yeah. Actually, it's a good point because there are so many movies to consider, as you know, because Eddie Garcia made such a big number of movies, and was very difficult to make a choice. But then, together with Max, we decided to go for some of the movies that could underline his big talent, such as, for example, Wakao. Wakao is a movie that really tells a lot about Eddie Garcia way of acting. And in that movie, his performance is super, and such a great, such a great character, and also such a great movie. So we decided to go for that. And for the other ones, we also wanted to tell about Eddie Garcia when he was younger, but was difficult because at that time was difficult to find DCPs. That's why it was very important the help we got from Chairman Liza Dino for this, because it was absolutely important to collect the movies and have the possibility to show them from a technical point of view. For this reason, we decided to go for At the Top, Ishmael Bernal film, which is a movie that was just restored and saved forever, which is again very important for all the people who are really in love with Asian films and Filipino films. And Anino, of course, because we really wanted to include it. And and what else? We of course we could also consider other titles, but we in this way we wanted to give a clear idea of what Eddie Garcia did in his career. I'm sure Max really wants to add something to this.
Uh, yes, actually, of course, it would have been wonderful to get more films, but first of all, it's impossible. Secondly, the problem, I was thinking of films, like Tubig sa Ginto, one of the early films by Lino Broca, or also a film directed by Eddie, which is Atsai, which I have seen at the Cinema Region Festival in Naga 2 years ago. But unfortunately, like so many other films, it's not restored, and it was not available, technically available. Although I must insist on the fact that thanks to FDCP and ABS-CBN, a lot of films have been restored now. So we could get, but sometimes even for Wakao, I heard there were some technical problems for the DCP. So even recent films. So I think it's a limited choice, but very significant of Eddie Garcia's huge talent and personality, especially Wakao. I insisted on having Wakao because I think we never showed it before. And that's really one of he's the main actor, the main character, and he's so funny and great. So, and of course, Anino is actually is not the main actor in the film. It's Ronnie Lazaro, if I'm not wrong, with the photographer. But of course, the presence of Eddie Garcia in the film is so strong, as and the film in 12 minutes resumes all aspects and antagonism of Filipino society, even 20 years ago. It hasn't changed much. So I think, and of course, Bernal's film, which is supposed to be his first film, although he started another film before but never finished, I heard. And then this is great. Actually, when I saw the film again, I'd seen it before because it was restored by FDCP a few years ago. And when I saw it for the retrospective, I could hardly recognize Eddie, who is so young, like 50 years ago. But the film is wonderful with Rita
Exactly.
Gomez, and it says a lot about that period of Filipino films. It's totally changed now. So I think it's a great, testimony, a great film about a period, an era of Filipino film then. So I think altogether, and of course, Sina Samba Kita is one of the few films which were good enough technically to be shown, and it reveals also the talent of Eddie as a director and actor, because he's when we prepared the retrospective, I had to go to check the filmography of Eddie, and then I couldn't believe that according to IMDb and official filmographies, he has made 650 films, including his own, the one he directed. So it's incredible. I think only Indian directors and actors probably can cope with this. So I'm glad finally, in spite of the fact that it was postponed and that Eddie died too early for everyone, we have this very nice retrospective, and I will recommend it to all my friends who are going to Udine this year or watch it online. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina and Max. We have a question actually for direct Raymond Red. So there's a question. How was working with Mr. Eddie Garcia or the Manoy in your short film?
Yes, as I've expressed earlier, it was of course a really intimidating and daunting task to have him in our short film. In fact, I didn't know him personally. He didn't know me. I just had the courage of calling him up in 1999. And I used precisely that reason. I told him, Manong Eddie, I'm an independent filmmaker. I'm doing a short film. And I can't imagine anyone else doing this character. I needed a character who was so imposing and huge on screen, that menacing power that he needed to show. So when he agreed, that was really such a blessing for us. And then finally, when he showed up on location, he was such a cool guy. No problems. He was very early on set. And sorry. And in fact, he did this film for free. Actually, all the actors did this short film for free. Ronnie Lazaro, John Arcelia. So all together, that ensemble was quite a privilege for us. And yes, Eddie Garcia made it really very easy for us, as independent filmmakers, that he treated us just as colleagues, and he precisely just did what we felt and explained to him was needed for the film.
Thank you, Direk. And then there's also a question, but this time for Chair Liza, like an update on the Eddie Garcia bill. We all know that although his death was untimely, it has inspired a movement and for the safety of the film workers.
Yes, it's actually very, very timely yung retrospective nito to still push to continue to push for the institutionalization and the end of the Eddie Garcia bill. Right now, it has already passed the lower house. So we're just waiting for a counterpart in Senate. And I believe it's Senator Bong Revilla and Senator Joel Villanueva, who handles the Labor Relations Committee, who can really help in finalizing yung bill para sa bicameral, pumasa na siya, and then it goes to the president. So one more step before it goes to the president, and I can't think of any opportune time for it to happen, but this year, because we're still in the middle of pandemic, a lot of issues, a lot of concerns that needs to be addressed with regard to our workers. So yun po, sana po talaga magsama-sama po tayo para ipatupad itong Eddie Garcia bill.
Thank you, Chair. And while we have questions for the directors, for Direct Antoinette and for Miss Grace, but there's a question while we have Sabrina now. I'm just going to ask it. It was sent to me directly, so I think it will be anonymous na lang siguro. So for Sabrina, what would you advise the producers of quality films who have no connections or brokers, so it's in two quotes, to international festivals like Udine on how to get their films to compete? It seems like only a few really good movies from the Philippines get the chance to enter the main competition because these films do not have film brokers connected to festivals. It seems that only a small group of movies get to go around competing in festivals, and these movies belong to just a few groups of producers. Thank you. So the question is, what would you advise to producers of quality Filipino films to push for festivals without having brokers or connections?
So I don't know if the question is for me or for somebody else.
Yeah. Sorry, it was for you directly.
For me,
Yeah.
for me, okay.
Yeah.
You know, what I can say is that there are, we as a film festival, we are also a platform in Europe in order to help all the Asian producers and also filmmakers to reach a bigger audience of people and also to be introduced in the other part of the world, so in the Western. And I think for doing that, that's why we also decided to set up an industry section, so trying to follow these filmmakers since different kind of phase of their production, so trying to push them to meet experts to get approval to their projects, and try to be able to conclude a process the till the fact at the moment when they are able to shoot the movie and to be presented the movie to our international audience. So basically, I wanted to say to trying to get in touch with us in order to be able to together to create to create a more connection. And I think everybody has to come to a film festival abroad in order to get to get the possibility to improve himself and to to check also the different kind of opinions and to reach a bigger audience.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Sabrina. We have a question for Antoinette Jadaone, because maybe they noticed that I have mentioned that you've been part of the Far East in Progress last year. So they're asking on kumusta yung experience sa Far East in Progress last year, and what do you expect for the festival participation of Fangirl to this year's festival?
It was actually in Far East in Progress where we met a lot of festival programmers that became interested in Fangirl um for our premiere. So it was where we met Tallinn Black Knights International Film Festival. So we were really grateful. Actually, the Far East film in progress is very helpful for finished films to get the proper exposure to be given options in what kind of festival they want to premiere in. So now that after a year, I guess after a year, exactly a year, we're being shown in Far East Film Festival where we first talked to programmers for our premiere last year.
So
So
direct,
thank you, Sabrina.
since you have premiered the film no, since last year, you've been going the rounds of festivals. Are there still upcoming festivals and competitions for Fangirl this year after Udine?
We're in talks with some of them, but because I think uh because the film already had a year of afterlife, I guess. So and we already premiered in A-list film festivals. We're not sure about how many film festivals we would still be accepting after Far East Film Festival.
Do you have international distribution already for Fangirl?
For Fangirl, so far we're streaming on Netflix worldwide. So that's something that we were able to accomplish at the start of the year. Yeah.
Thank you, Direct.
Thank
Next,
you.
for Miss Grace. Yeah, so there's a question about how did you find Agustin and his community, and how long did it take for you to make that a documentary film about him?
So I first met Agustin in 2011. I was making another documentary in their area in Kapangan, Zambales. I was making a mining documentary, and I just didn't want to, delve into mining and expound on it more. I thought that there are other issues and concerns of the Aita people in the area that needed to be highlighted. And so one of the problems that I observed was on education. And so I went to the school and then interviewed teachers and all that. And then that's where I met Agustin. He was surrounded by so many kids. They were having fun, and he was planting with them. Um, and later on, I found out from the teacher that he was starting his journey in grade one. And so that's when I started, interviewing him, having daily conversations with him. And his personality and his characteristic really enamored me. He's full of positivity. Um, Despite being surrounded by so many hardships and all that. And then later on, I realized that his story needed to be told. And so I asked for his permission, and I also asked for the permission of the indigenous leader in the area. But back then, I didn't know what to do with the story, with all the interviews, and with all the things that I've gathered, like all the documentations. It was later on, through the help of many creative collaborators, that I realized that there was, this whole film that I could make, based on the interviews and our daily interactions that I was able to document. So yeah, that's the story of how I met him.
Yeah, and what do you expect with with the film's participation at this year's Far East Film Festival, Miss Grace?
Well, I'm expecting that it creates more conversations that hopefully, it goes to, um, it inspires other people in that part of the world, that they're so privileged of having access to education. Yeah, so basically, I guess that's like create more. How do you call that? Meaningful conversations around this topic, and hopefully, yeah, even in our country as well, in the Philippines, I hope that it lands on our policymakers, and as cliche as it sounds, I hope that it could, push for better policies on our education, especially for indigenous peoples.
Thank you, Miss Grace. We are opening the floor for questions from the press. I'm actually reading some of the questions from the press already. So if you have questions, feel free to raise your hand or to chat us your questions. But another question for the festival, since Sabrina and Max is still here, with lots of actors and directors from Far East. So what pushed you to select Eddie Garcia and give him a special tribute to this year's festival?
As I said, it was very simple because we have a mission as a film festival, which is to try to promote as much as we could in the past, and also I hope for the future, a lot of history in many different countries in Asia. I mean, movie history. And when I had the chance to go to Manila and to make some research, also because, as I mentioned before, I met Chairperson Liza Dino, and also I was invited to Metro Manila Film Festival, and I was able to make some research on my own. I saw a lot of films from the history of Filipino cinema, and I had the chance to meet Eddie Garcia in person and understood how much important was his career in the latest years of Filipino Filipino cinema. So we decided together with the Max Tessier to go for this idea. And originally it was very simple because originally when we got this idea and we wanted to go ahead with this project, we really wanted to bring him over to invite him to come here and to present him with a lifetime achievement award. But unfortunately we couldn't do that. And even though we are very happy this time in few days to be able to present some of his films. And this is just the starting, because in the future we really would love to go deep and to be able to screen some of the classics. So we will go back to Eddie Garcia also for in the future, that's for sure.
Thank you so much, Sabrina. Do we have more questions from the press? Yeah, so there's a question for Max. As festival programmer for Filipino films through the years, what can you say about the diversity of Filipino films or cinema and stories being tackled in different films? So, do you think it's representative of the Philippines, having lived in the Philippines as well?
Yes, well, actually, we know that Filipino cinema is very diverse, but it's mainly, mainstream. Most of the mainstream movies, usually we think it cannot be exported because it's really too local, the rom-com. And then, of course, there's the whole movement of indie films since 2005, roughly. The first is Cinemalaya, for instance, Maximo Oliveros, etc. So Udine is definitely a different festival because it's not copying, most festivals in Europe, for instance, which are um, aiming at having auteur films. That's why Filipino cinema has great authors like Lav Diaz or Brillante Mendoza, for instance, or some other ones, but they're all going to the same kind of festivals, Cannes or Venice or Berlin, and it's quite different. I mean, they represent themselves, I believe. They're not representing the whole of Filipino cinema. So it has to be diverse. That's why I think Udine has a role to play by showing either good mainstream movie, there are of course, or what we call Mendy, halfway. So that's why I think Fangirl is a good example. Fangirl is a very good example because it's both, it was, I think, the most successful film in last year's Metro Manila Film Festival, which was also online. And the other films were not so really extraordinary. So Fangirl is definitely an example of what can be a good Mendy film. Actually, there was another film that I liked, but we didn't take it, which was a film by Jason Paul Laksamana called, I forgot the title, sorry.
Dino
Mercury
is
is
without
mine.
sin.
Yes.
Mercury.
No, no,
Okay.
no, no, no.
Or the recent one?
This year, the one this year. Sorry,
He who is without sin.
He who is without sin.
he who is without sin, which subject, topic is very similar to Fangirl. It's also one fan boy who meets his idol, and then it turned out to be not as good as he thought. So those films are really interesting because they show the other side of the very easygoing fans, movements everywhere. Goes also for the K-pop, for instance. And then what I mean is it's good that Udine can show a different kind of films, and it's not like this, auteur. That's good. That's why I like the originality of our programmation, even though we don't always agree, etc.
Andrew, I want to add to that. I totally agree with what Max said. That was actually the first that I experienced and I noticed when I participated in Udine Film Festival, that we are showcasing not the usual suspects. When I say usual suspects, the filmmakers that are normally participating in this A-list film festivals. We know in the Philippines that there's so much more. There's so many filmmakers that do not have that kind of chance to have a platform, to have a venue to showcase their films. And because the films are probably not in the kind of usual films that is associated with Philippine cinema. So when with Udine Far East Film Festival, what I really saw is that the whole diversity in Philippine cinema is showcased. I mean, just looking at the trailers a while ago, you have your fangirl to Anak Ng Macho Dancer to something that so poignant as A for Agustin. So this is the showcase in the different aspects. And I always say this, that of course we cannot stop our filmmakers to be very personal with their voices and the films that they make, but it is our responsibility, of course, the government agency, the FDCP, and different platforms to showcase a multifaceted Philippines, the different stories that represents Philippine cinema, and not just the social realities that we're used to. So thank you for this, Sabrina, and Max, for being very intentional in showcasing the diversity of our Filipino stories.
Thank you very much for saying that. It's actually our approach that this one, because we would love to know more about contemporary lives in Philippines, or such as in the big city like Manila. We think movies are really strong. They have a strong point to tell more about the reality, and that's why for us it's very important to show a movie like Fanger or or the others that we wanted to be part of our selection this year. Song of a Macho Dancer is a movie like that tells us more about what is going on in Philippines, and I think it could be a very daring choice, but I mean, I'm sure that is going to be appreciated as well.
Yeah, thank you. We have a question for Direct Antoinette and for Direct Raymond Red with Udine, no, located here in Italy. So they're curious about your European festival experience and how has this helped shape your filmmaking career. So that's for Direct Antoinette, and then to Direct Raymond Red. And siguro to Miss Grace Ren, having traveled to different international film festivals as well with her documentary. Who wants to go first? Ayan.
Yeah, ako na lang po. Sige.
Sige.
Yung experience ko, the first time I went to an international film festival nga was in 2012 for Udine, and I went there for my mockumentary film. So it was a comedy. It was 6 Degrees of Separation from Lilia Fontapay, and it was warmly accepted here in the Philippines. But when we went to Udine, we were really surprised na it was almost sold out, and there were a lot of people who were laughing at different jokes, but laughing for most of it. And then right after the screening, Nanay Lilia saw a long queue of viewers asking for her autograph and photo. So it really warmed my heart, because I thought that the comedy that we did was only for only for Filipinos. But when we went to Italy, it just meant na Filipino films can transcend languages, can transcend cultures, as long as you have a good story to tell. It doesn't matter kung anong audience, the heart of the film will shine through.
For your new film, Direct, no, the fangirls, since you're Filipino fans, siguro nga, we could label them rin, and your followers, it was your break from the love stories that you created. Although it's a different kind of love story. So how was it received in your European screenings rin?
Um, it was very different different reaction, because in the Philippines there was a context of Paolo playing as himself, whereas in Europe and in North America and other countries aside from the Philippines, they don't know that Paolo is actually a big star in the Philippines. So for them, Paolo is just an actor playing a character that is named Paolo Avellino. So there was no underlying layer about that. So when they would see Fangirl, they would see it from a different perspective, without the context of the Filipino love team culture. So yun, interesting din na iba yung take nila. It's not, but at the end of the day, it's still about fan culture, celebrity culture, and misogyny and blind followership. So nag-transcend pa rin naman kahit papaano yung kwento.
Thanks, Direk. So balikan natin si Direk Raymond Red for yun nga, for on experience of the European film festivals, and then how it shaped you. I think we brought Mick Ren for Erie in Udine before. So yun.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's really a privilege that Anina is part of this tribute to Eddie Garcia. But at the same time, for me personally, it's kind of unfortunate that now it has to happen under the restrictions of this pandemic. No? Correct me if I'm wrong. It's been in planning. This tribute for Eddie has been in planning for 2 years now, right? Since 2019. So actually, when Max and Sabrina were mentioning, that maybe they could consider even a short film like, I was quite excited because I thought, finally I'm going to attend Udine. I've always known Udine Film Festival, but my films have never really shown there. My films, of course, kind of fall under a different category apart from genre films. So I haven't had that opportunity. But my close associate, co-producer Roger Garcia, has been programming for Udine for years, no, since way back. No? And I think he programmed Rico Ilardes early indie films, no? In the early 2000s, 2005 or 2006. So since then, I've been wanting to attend Udine. It would have been exciting. And so when I heard that there was going to be an Eddie Garcia tribute, I thought, okay, I'm going to attend no matter what. Spend for it myself, and travel there, because I've heard a lot of great things about the festival, and of course the place. No? But yeah, so now unfortunately it's going to be online for me, but still quite a privilege. I've been traveling to festivals since the 1980s, from the very start with my early short films, and again, I say that is quite a privilege, traveling to all these festivals and learning a lot from meeting filmmakers, producers, and watching other films. So it's really become a part of my life, So more than 3 decades now. So hopefully, when we overcome this pandemic situation, another opportunity will come, and I'll make sure I'll attend Udine that time.
Thank you, Direk. For Miss Grace, you have screened, then I mentioned earlier, you premiered in DMC, and then you have screenings in the US, in San Diego, and then in Guam. So how's the reception for Ace for Agustin, and how do these travels and festival exposure help you or shape your documentary career, if it really did, no?
So most of the reception coming from the audience were mostly about how long it took me to finish the film. So it's been more than 8 years of going back and forth to Cabangan Zambales. So yeah, that's mostly the reaction. And most of the festivals, or most of the screenings that the film has had, catered sa mga Filipino Americans in the US. And so masaya siya dahil they get to know a portion of their country, and it gets to open up discussions regarding who is considered indigenous, yung concept natin of indigeneity. And a lot of them have, misconceptions about who is indigenous. They always think that, they have to dress up a certain way, they have to look a certain way, they shouldn't be educated, which is completely wrong. I mean, parang very limited yung concept sometimes of who is considered indigenous. So yeah, it opens up a lot of discussions about that, and I'm very happy with how they react, and hear yung reception nila with the film.
Thank you. I also failed to mention that DirectNet and Project 8 also worked with Eddie Garcia for Hintayan. It also screened in Udine. So maybe could you share a few DirectNet about working with Eddie Garcia?
I first worked with Tito Eddie in GMA when I was a production assistant. So I was the one in charge of taking him from the standby area to the set. And before his take, he would always ask me questions about the scenes in the script. And I always make sure that I know the script by heart, because he would always he would always make sure that the production assistant knows about what the story is all about, and not just just any other assistant walking here and there. But just like what direct Raymond said, Tito Eddie was always very early. He's if his call time was 7 a.m., he was there at 5:30, and he was there with just his driver, with no assistant, no makeup artist. He was just there with his bag and his script, and his script was highlighted with all his lines. So he was the professional through and through. And so when we worked with him in Heaven's Waiting and in Tayo ng Langit, it was really just a fangirl. I was really fangirl. We were all fangirling over a legend acting before our eyes, and we were so grateful that we were able to work with him before he passed on.
Thank you, Direct. I think we have a few more minutes pa. So if are there questions from the press, we can entertain them. Yeah. So sige. So for the directors that we are with this afternoon. So what are we waiting for your next projects post pandemic or during the pandemic? Are you developing something? It's for the press as well. That's for the three directors. Before we proceed to the last question and the closing remarks from the festival representative and Chair Liza. So are you cooking something up, Miss Grace, Direct Raymond, Direct Grace, Direct Raymond, and Direct Antoinette? Are there any project in development?
Yeah. In Project 8, our company, we're producing mostly TV series and films for the streaming platforms. So we're happy that right now, since more and more film workers are getting vaccinated, and we're hoping that by the end of the year, the safety protocols will ease in. So the industry will be alive again. But right now we're happy to be working again, because since last year, work has stopped for most film workers, and we're doing what we can with the money that's given to us, and the resources that's given to us.
Thank you, Direct Raymond.
Well, a lot of people have known me to take so long to make a project. No? So that's why I have very few films. I'm going back to a material that's 28 years old. Matagal ko ng project na tinatry to. So every time it doesn't work out, I do other things. No? So now I'm at that stage going back to it again. It's 28 years old script of Makapidi. It's a World War II historical, part fiction, part factual history. So you can say maybe it's ambitious. That's why it's been very difficult to get it off the ground. But I'm not giving up. So I'm looking at it now because of the restrictions of the pandemic. At least now I have more time to review the project, even revise it. So yun ang pinaplano ko at the moment.
Thanks, Direct Grace. Anything in development?
Ngayon kasi I'm taking my graduate studies sa UW-Madison. So summer break namin yun kaya nasa Pilipinas ako. But siguro ang isa sa mga dina-develop ko, it's a personal documentary about my parents. So it's still very hard to develop it, lalong-lalo na pag i-force mo yung mga kamag-anak mo to be in front of the camera. It's so hard to take the project seriously. But yeah, yun yung isa sa mga dina-develop kong projects.
All right. There's a curious question on behalf of her young sister or his young sister. So is it a standard? So I think before for Max and for Sabrina, they can answer this question, then they close. Is it a standard universally to include subtitles in films, regardless of its audience is a speaker of the language of the film? Ayun. So is it, or maybe you can share as well how you do it in the festival?
You mean
About subtitle, hard-coded subtitles.
Oh, yeah. In our film festival, everything is written in Italian and English. So everything. So I think all the people can understand the movies, can understand, can read our festival catalog, can go on the website and follow up with every single aspect of the festival. So this is very important for us, and also for the guests coming from not this year, unfortunately, but for starting again from next year, all the guests coming from Asia, we can provide official translators from Asian languages. So we have also some people in our city from Filipino community that is happy to help us in that. And let me say, Andrew, that I really wanted to tell all the directors here, Antoinette, Raymond, and Grace, that for the future, of course, they have to come to Udine. They are going to be invited. I'm happy and honored to invite you to come. So for the future, make sure to have time to come here.
Yes, we do have time.
Good.
Yeah,
And-
Max, anything you want to raise in your
I
hand? Yeah.
think Sabrina said it all. But I would like to add something about the selection of the films this year. One of the reasons why it was really hard to find films, good films, is that, of course, because of the pandemic, and then because also, I don't have to underline the fact that Filipino directors, most of them, except Raymond maybe, are very prolific, meaning they never stop. I mean, we hope to have, for instance, a film by Eric Matty, who is shooting and editing at the same time. And then, the films are not finished, etc. He's shooting another film right now for, I think, HBO. And, it's either Netflix or HBO. June Lana, also they do a lot of TV series or events. They are very busy. So we hope to have the new film by June Lana called The Big Night, which I saw the trailer. It looks very good, but unfortunately it's not finished until now. The same, and I'm talking directly to Raymond, your son, Raymond, Michael Red. We have the pleasure to have him before, as also a new film and not finished because he's shooting TV series for HBO, is it? Yeah, so it's, and it's non-stop. But the problem is the film we wanted to have, because they are coming from good directors we had before, were not ready, not available, either because they are not finished or because they are for HBO and difficult to get. So I hope it will be different next year. That's why we have only 3 films this year, which I think is not enough. That's my personal opinion, but I'm sure Sabrina shares it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
we wish to send more films next year, Max. Yes,
Hmm.
Sabrina, any last words for our press
Make,
here from the
make
Philippines?
sure they are finished. Make sure they are complete.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I really wanted to add just one thing, because for next year we will, of course, be hope to be able to show more from Philippines, but for sure one movie which is a masterpiece, and we will look forward to show it for a long time. I mean, Manila by Night, the masterpiece by Ishmael Bernal, which was restored, and we really would love to arrange a big screening, important screening in Udine next year, together with Chair Liza Dino.
So thank you
We're
for that very assuring and pressuring a statement, Sabrina, from our end. But yes, we will be working on it. No, it's okay. Thank you so much for the eagerness and for championing Filipino titles. So thank you so much, everyone. And to close the press conference and to share her last words, maybe invite Chair Liza.
Yes. Thank you, Andrew. To Sabrina and Max, again, a profound thanks for everything that you're doing to showcase Filipino films. Yes, we will do that, Manila by Night, by next year. I know that that has a special place in your heart, in the same way that we've been discussing this Eddie retrospective. Um, in 2019, he was still alive then. We were even planning on how to fly him to Udine because it was set. It was something that the festival wanted to do. So we'll make sure that we'll make these happen. To our guest filmmakers, we're here to support. Maybe Sir Raymond Red will have a lecture next year. So FDCP can fully support as well. Uh, Again, napaka-importante po talaga ng mga ganitong festivals to showcase our films internationally, continuing to share what is Philippine cinema all about, who are the Filipino filmmakers making these films, and these international partnerships that we have right now with Udine, with Cannes, and all the other film festivals allow us to showcase more of our talents. That is the goal. Mas marami po silang nakikilalang mga pelikula, mga Pilipino na gumagawa ng mga pelikula na hindi lamang po para sa local audiences natin, pero para sa buong mundo. Nakaka-add po yun para mas makilala pa kung sino tayo. I'd like to address that question a while ago about, bakit parang small lang yung community ng mga pelikulang napipili in festivals. The film industry is a relationship-based industry. You actually create connections by knowing people and getting to know people. And this is the reason why there are film festivals, film markets. There are these international events that allow for this meeting to happen. So if you are a filmmaker and you know that you want to go out there, you want to find audiences beyond the Philippines, be present. Participate in these film festivals. The FDCP has many opportunities to engage with different production companies, with Filipino filmmakers. We offer free badges in every festival. We just had a 50 delegates for the Annecy Film Festival, and this is what we do for other film festivals and other markets para mas lalo pong makilala kayo at mas magkaroon po kayo ng chance na makakilala pa ng iba't ibang film festivals. So yun po siguro yung gusto naming i-share, because hindi po nauubusan ng FDCP ng platforms at programs to make sure that you are connecting not just with our local stakeholders but international stakeholders as well. And of course, as our partners, ating friends, our friends from the media, thank you so much again for supporting us and for sharing this very, very important partnership between Far East Film Festival and the FDCP to celebrate, the life our legend, our icon, Mr. Eddie Garcia, and the rest of the films who are competing in this festival. Thank you so much. Po.
Thank you so much, Chair Liza. Maraming salamat po ulit sa lahat ng dumalo sa ating munting press con. The media relations team will get in touch with you for the PR and for the official recording. Thank you so much, everyone. Mabuhay ang pelikulang Pilipino.